At 40, I'm at the top of my game. I'd been a magazine editor and then started a successful writing business. I dated for 20 years, so I'd been around the bases a few times. I was educated, responsible, and obeyed the law. So, how in the world did I end up married to a con man? This guy took $227,000 from me. He cheated with at least 6 different women during our 2.5-year relationship. He had a child with one of those women. And then, 10 days after I left him, he married the mother of the child, which was the second time he committed bigamy. I wasn't his only victim. My husband was with about 30 other women, both before and during our marriage. Many of them were asking for their money back. 3 women testified at my divorce, along with the parents of the wife before me, who died. I believe she died of a broken heart. From the 5 of us, he took more than $1 million. Every word out of my husband's mouth was either a lie or an excuse, and he didn't care about how any of it affected me. In fact, when I found out what he was doing behind my back, my head was spinning. I told my therapist about his outrageous betrayals, and she said, "He sounds like a sociopath." Sociopath? What's that? I spent the next 20 years finding out. Here's the short answer. Sociopaths are people who do not have the ability to authentically love. Now, this may sound like no big deal. We all know self-centered individuals. But sociopaths are significantly impaired in making emotional connections with other human beings. So, what happens? They view people as objects to be used. They manipulate and gaslight you into doing what they want. And then, when you're no longer useful, they throw you away. Here's my message to you. You need to understand that there are 2 types of people in the world, those who can love and those who can't. You need to know the difference. I sure didn't know. When I realized that my entire marriage was a scam, I wanted to prevent other people from losing money like I did. I launched lovefraud.com to teach people about the smooth-talking con artists living among us. And that's when my education really began. Readers told me their stories. I collected more than 10,000 cases. Here's what I've learned. The problem of sociopaths living among us is far bigger, and the damage they cause is far greater than I ever imagined. In fact, after learning what happened to other people, I realized that I got off easy. You may think you can spot a sociopath. They're all deranged serial killers, right? Well, some are, but most never kill anybody. You may think they're all criminals. Again, some are, but many engage in behavior that is immoral or unethical, but not necessarily illegal. Sociopaths don't just take our money. They manipulate our minds and our hearts. They damage our ability to trust our own perceptions. They destroy our sense of self. The word sociopath was coined in 1930 and originally meant anything deviated or pathological in social relations. Today, sociopath is not an official diagnosis at all. I use the word on Love Fraud as an umbrella term for what the American Psychiatric Association calls cluster B personality disorders, including antisocial and narcissistic personality disorders, plus psychopathy. What do they have in common? People with these disorders are socially sick. They do not have the ability to authentically love, but they're really good at faking it. The entire time I was married, my husband told me how much he loved me. He promised that with my help, we would soon be living in the lap of luxury. Those were his words. He told me that I was investing in our future. So I kept paying our expenses, draining my savings, and running up my credit cards, while he kept pitching new businesses. None of them worked. But when I suggested that he help us out by getting a job, he berated me for not believing in him. I wasn't happy. I was afraid of going broke. But I asked myself, what wife leaves her husband because the business plans aren't working out? Then the Titanic movie became an international phenomenon, and my husband had the idea of opening a Titanic exhibition in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He found partners and investors. The show was sailing toward launch, but the Titanic sank again. I was crushed. My husband made excuses. It wasn't his fault that the investors bailed out. Then my husband told me that he cut a deal to open the show in Florida. In desperation, I took the last of my credit and moved us 1,000 miles to Orlando. I thought we would be working like crazy to get the show ready, but nothing happened. When was it supposed to open? He said he was still working it out. So I asked him, "You mean there's no deal?" Without taking his eyes off the computer screen, he said no. My vision blurred and my knees almost buckled. My husband had demanded that we go to Florida, spending money we didn't have on a gamble. His rationale was, if you don't gamble, you don't win. He said he did it all for me, and then he said he loved me, and our love was all that mattered. But someone who truly loves you doesn't drain your finances, lie to you, and then berate you when you're terrified. Here's what you need to understand. Sociopaths do not have the ability to authentically love, but they know that when they say the words, "I love you," they get what they want. Researchers have identified 3 components of romantic love. The first is attachment, which is the desire to be with someone special. The second is sex. I hope I don't have to explain that. The third is caregiving. When you love someone, you want what is best for them. You want them to be happy and healthy. When necessary, you're willing to take care of them. Sociopaths do not do caregiving. Sociopaths care only about themselves. They want what they want, and they feel totally entitled to use you to get what they want. Now, maybe at this point you're wondering, am I a sociopath? I've told a few fibs. I've manipulated people. If this worries you, you're not a sociopath. Real sociopaths never worry about how their behavior affects others. So, how many sociopaths live among us? No one really knows, but the estimates are frightening. Depending on which studies you look at, the number of people who could be diagnosed with a cluster B personality disorder ranges from 5.5% to 17.5% of the population. These are the people that I call sociopaths. For simplicity, let's take a midpoint of 12%. If 12% of adults in the United States have a cluster B personality disorder, that means we live among 31 million sociopaths. Where are they? Here's the bad news. They're everywhere. Sociopaths can be found in all cities and states. They're in all demographic groups: male, female, rich, poor, all religions, all education levels. Here's more bad news. There is no treatment proven to cure antisocial, narcissistic, or psychopathic personality disorders. But the prevailing view in the mental health field is that sociopaths burn out in their 40s and engage in less antisocial behavior. This made no sense to me. My husband was older than that when I met him, although he lied about his age. First, he said he was 49. Then, claiming he couldn't bear to lie to me, he admitted that he was 51. In reality, he was 55. And after I divorced him, he scammed even more women. This man did not burn out. I surveyed Love Fraud readers specifically about senior sociopaths. Some people stayed in these relationships for 20, 30, and 40 years, hoping and praying for change. But when the survey respondents knew the senior sociopaths, both before and after age 50, here's the really bad news. 91% said their deceit, manipulation, and antisocial behavior was just as bad or worse as they aged. It seems that once sociopaths are adults, they do not change. They never learn to love. There are many differences among the people in the world in nationality, race, religion, sex, education, income, and opinion. But in my view, only one difference is significant, and that's the difference between people who can love and those who can't. So, how do you protect yourself from sociopaths? First, know that they exist. This is actually the hard part. I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, I never knew people like this existed. They do, and after listening to me today, I hope you understand that. Second, know the warning signs. Here are some big ones. All sociopaths lie fluently. They blame other people for everything wrong in their lives, and they cannot put anyone before themselves. Yes, you can identify sociopaths once you know what to look for. Finally, trust your instincts. Our intuition evolved over millennia to protect us from predators. So if you get a gut feeling that something isn't quite right about somebody, pay attention. It could be your intuition warning you of danger. I can now spot sociopaths a mile away. I can also identify people who truly know how to love, like my second husband. We've been happily married for 17 years. By avoiding sociopaths and surrounding ourselves with people who truly know how to love, our lives can be happier, healthier, and more fulfilling. We will take a giant step in moving humanity forward. Thank you. I'm Donna Anderson, author of lovefraud.com. I hope you found my presentation informative. In June of 2022, I was a speaker at a TEDx event in Roland Park, Maryland. I worked hard on my presentation, and it was well received that day. But TED never posted the video of my speech. Everyone else from the event was featured on the TED YouTube channel, but I was censored. TED's motto is ideas worth spreading, but they did not want to spread my message about how we can protect ourselves from the millions of sociopaths who live among us. I learned about sociopaths the hard way, by marrying one. I hoped to teach people that yes, sociopaths exist, no, they can't be cured, and here's how to spot and avoid them. TED never provided any explanation for why they censored my speech. I even sent them a fully annotated script where I provided scientific citations for every statement I made. No response. If you'd like to see the script and the citations, there's a link below. I think my message is an idea worth spreading, so I re-recorded my TEDx speech exactly as I presented it in 2022. I hope you found it enlightening, helpful, and hopeful.